Okay, dokie, people.
Hey,
That was an extra one. That was an extra long one.
how we feeling, yo, Danny Dimes, Tommy Cutlets.
Oh yeah, you see, you have Danny Dimes so ingrained in your.
Miss
your
you every
thoughts.
day, DJ. Miss you every day.
Wow. So we're gonna take a quick second. Give me a Twitter version. As a Giants fan, I want a Twitter version of how you currently feel, because I know for a while there you were like, "Can we please tank? Can we please tank?" So, where do we currently stand as a Giants fan? I mean, speak for the Giants fans out there.
I mean, I still want us to tank. I think what he's doing is phenomenal. Everyone is comparing this to the Linsanity with the Knicks.
Yeah, I can see that.
But we still have the opportunity to lose and at least be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And if that is the case, I would rather have that than Tommy Cutlets, who is just going to be, what is he going to do? Play the 6 to 8 games next year?
Everyone said the same about Brock Purdy. What's he going to do? Why pick him up? Pick the guy up. You never know.
Look, I can understand that.
He's probably not going to do it.
If he beats the Eagles, we'll have a new conversation.
Oof.
But I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
If he beats the Eagles, I think we all have to be like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways.
I agree. But thanks for joining us today, guys. We appreciate you. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day and are ready for it to get even better. We are doing a 2024 rookie mock draft. There is a spicy mock draft that we're going to use for landing spots from Pro Football Network.
Look it up.
Do us a massive favor as you're joining the stream. Go ahead and smash that like button. It's just such a simple way for you to help support the channel. We see you in the chat. We see you, Macy. How you doing? Welcome in. Let us know who we're hanging out with. Sam, we see you. Alan, we see you. I want a sandwich. We see you. Unicorn says, do you guys answer questions only at the end of the mock? Right now, yes, because, I mean, if we start answering someone's questions, someone else is going to be left out, and it's going to be 10, 15 minutes later. We're not even into the mock draft. So keep in mind, guys, at the end of the stream, we will do a Q&A.
And that's for all of our...
Yeah.
That's for all of our mock drafts. I mean, even when we do Dynasty Superflex mock drafts, we always answer it towards the end. We'll leave 10, 15 minutes for you guys, or 5 to 10 minutes for you guys, actually.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Also, yes, a big moment of silence for any Keenan Allen managers. I honestly expected him to play. I believe that if the Chargers were in playoff contention and that Justin Herbert was healthy, I think he is out there. But I think they are like, we have no reason to risk an injury at this point, Keenan. So yeah, that's tough. Thank you to Drusiv, who has been a member of the channel for 19 months.
How you doing, baby?
Love, baby. We appreciate you. Very, very kind. All right, guys. Today we are doing a 2024 rookie mock draft based on some landing spots from Pro Football Network's mock draft by Ian Cummings. If you want a chance to join today's mock draft, how can people go about doing so, Badaki?
Absolutely. All you have to do is join our Discord, link in the description, and link should be in the chat. Once you do that and join our Discord, join the Discord first, remember. Go to content releases on the far left where you see DynastyLand tab with the orange footballs, right? Then go to content releases, and that's exactly where I'll be posting a link to each and every mock draft. Whether you're watching this now or later in the future, that's how you can join any mock draft. And I like to say this, it's going to be tougher once the season is over, okay? So if you're here and having an opportunity to join a mock draft, definitely join right now. But I'm going to be sending that link out here once again, one more time. Go to our Discord, DynastyLand tab, content releases, and that's where I'll be posting the link. 3, 2.
And while that fills up, we will quickly go over the landing spots for today's mock draft. Again, guys, these are exercises to have conversations about players, to have conversations about where they could land, what that could mean for their dynasty value. So today we are taking, again, Ian Cummings mock draft. I'll put the link in the chat from Pro Football Network, and we are going to use these landing spots. There's some crazy spots in here, but let's just quickly go over it before we get into the actual mock draft, so we're all on the same page. All right, so in this reality today, for this exercise, the Bears decided to pass on Caleb Williams and get Drake May. Caleb Williams actually ends up as a New York Jet, which is crazy. Marvin Harrison Jr. ends up with the Patriots. Brock Bowers is a Washington Commander. Rome Odunze with the Giants. The Bucks get Malik Neighbors. Keon Coleman goes to the Chicago Bears. Let's see. Brian Thomas, we love this one, goes to the Arizona Cardinals in the first round, pick 17. Not loving this landing spot, but the Atlanta Falcons grabbed Troy Franklin. The Minnesota Vikings spent a first round pick on J.J. McCarthy. Jaden Daniels goes to the New England Patriots with pick 22 in the first round. He links up with Marvin Harrison Jr. That could be a fun combo. Xavier Legette XL ends up in the first round with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We go on to the second round where Emeka Egbuka is going to be the savior of Bryce Young's career in Carolina with the 33rd overall pick. Then we go to Ladd McConkey, Ladd the space creator, with the 41st pick to the Titans. Bo Nix goes to the Raiders in the second. Travion Henderson to the Packers in the second. You guys know, if you've been watching this channel, our stance on the Travion situation for quite some time has been, we will not believe that he's not declaring or that he is returning either way until he says it himself. He put out a tweet today and he said, I have never announced nor made a decision on what my next steps would be. Excited to see where God leads my next steps though. So, as we mentioned, he could go back to school. He could not. He could declare. But at the moment, there is no decision made. But in today's world, today's mock draft reality, he is a Packer in the second round. Jalen Polk goes to the Saints in the second. Then we get Michael Penix to the Browns in the second. Xavier Worthy to the Dolphins. You want speed? You want speed? That's all the Dolphins have. Everyone who's a receiving threat has to run in the 4.3s. Adonai Mitchell goes to the Chiefs in the second. Malachi Corley, Badaki's guy, to the Ravens in the second. At the end of the second, my guy Trey Benson to the Eagles into round 3, where we see Braylon Allen to the Bucks, Bucky Irvin to the Raiders, Devontae Walker to the Bengals, Ben Sonnet to the Broncos. I don't even know this kid's name. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm not about to butcher that name. Jatavion Sanders to the Colts, Cade Stover to the Seahawks, Audric Estime to the Cowboys, Jamari Thrash to the Chiefs, which he's a nice little player right there. Ricky Pearsall to the Cardinals in the 4th round. Roman Wilson to the Jets in the 4th. My guy Jalen McMillan falls to the 4th. This mock draft was early December, I think December 2nd. So I bet you if Ian did a new one, my guy Jalen will be much, much higher. Luke Lachey out of Iowa to the Bengals. Michael Pratt to the Steelers. Again, this is all in the 4th round. Torrey Horton to the Colts in the 4th. Jacob Cohen to the Steelers. Malik Washington out of my alma mater. No, I'm not smart enough to go to the University of Virginia, but shout out to the Cavs. He goes to the Niners. Jalen Wright, who's a very fun running back to watch out of Tennessee, goes to the Vikings in the 4th. Amani Bailey to the Chiefs in the 4th. Devin Neal to the Ravens. And Blake Corum to the Bears. Now, you can also click on this mock draft link if you want to see rounds 5, 6, and 7. It's all there for you, but those are the landing spots we're using for today. And here's how this is going to work. All you need to do when it's your time to pick is go ahead and draft a kicker and put in the sleeper chat the pick that you want to make. We will then talk about that player, and I will add that player to today's mock draft. So without further ado, do us a massive favor, smash that like button, and let's go ahead and get this thing started. That guy to your right is on the clock. And I know, Badaki, for our leagues, our follower leagues, we already have the 101 to the 106. Those draft picks are decided. It's reverse max points for teams who did not make the playoffs. So that's already decided for our leagues.
100%.
I found out I have one 101 this year, and I'm very excited about that. That's in the Echo League. So I did not expect to have the 101 in any of my leagues. But that's exciting. We got quite I'd say 4 to 5 other picks inside the top 6. So yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I need to go through all those because I know I have a couple in the top 5 for sure. Top 6. I don't know if I have 101 at the moment. I'm just having a little piece to it.
When I was going through it, I don't think I saw your name at the 101, but could be wrong.
I have a little piece. So yeah, I see yours, Echo, the Echo League.
Okay, so with the first overall pick, that guy to your right is taking the New York Football Jets, Caleb Williams.
Wow.
Again, if you don't like the landing spots, go yell at Ian Cummings from Pro Football Network. We didn't make the landing spots, but Caleb Williams comes off the board here at the 101. But let's live in this reality for a second.
Yeah.
Let's live in this reality for a second. Caleb Williams, a New York Football Jet. The pure chaos that would happen in New York with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that would be the story of the entire offseason. What the hell is going on in New York? Do they trade away Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers has been faithful to this team.
No, I don't know if you read it in the blurb. They trade away Breece Hall.
What?
Yeah. So in this trade, the Jets receive the number
Cardinals
2 pick.
Get Breece Hall. Wow. Okay.
Sorry, the Cardinals get Breece Hall. Excuse me.
But still, it begs to ask, what happens with Aaron Rodgers? That's crazy.
100%. They still have Aaron Rodgers, quote unquote. You get rid of Breece Hall, but you do get your future quarterback. Which I would tell you this right now: if this is an actual possibility, and I'm a Jets fan, as much as I love Breece Hall, I want a secure answer at the quarterback position because we haven't had that in a long time. Mm-hmm. Right? We made our lot push to get Aaron Rodgers. We only had 4 plays with him, but he's still 40 plus years old. What is he? 41, 42 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
Like I would still rather send away Breece Hall.
He's not young.
And he doesn't go to a terrible spot for fantasy.
Oh no, I mean he gets to link up with Garrett Wilson.
This is a win-win.
Yeah.
If this really does happen,
that could be really, really exciting. You're up here at the 102. What are you gonna do with the 102? Considering these landing spots.
Let's keep it short and sweet here. Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the New England Patriots.
Okay.
The Patriots don't get a quarterback in the first round. Well,
they do.
In the top 5, they actually do get a quarterback in the first round, but they get the elite wide receiver, in my personal opinion, coming out of Ohio State, and him really instantly becoming the number 1 target in this offense. Mm-hmm. Because obviously you guys will see in this mock draft, which I'm pretty sure he'll go in the top 5 here, he does get a quarterback that I would say is significantly better than Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. So I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr.
And we'll see. Is it going to be Bill Belichick or not? We'll have
Rumors
to wait and find out. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. would instantly step into being a 8 to 10 target per game player for this offense. I mean, as many times as you can get him the ball, you're probably going to be doing it. I think you could see a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase type rookie year if quarterback play is there, of course. But all right, Henke YouTube is on the clock, so let's see what pick he makes here.
Let's see.
Caleb's gone, Marvin's gone. Man, I can't imagine the chaos if the Jets actually got Caleb Williams.
That'd be wild, 100%. I actually really like that narrative, and I'm down for it. For the Jets fans out there, please, maybe you're a Jets fan, you're watching this later, let us know. Mm-hmm. I would love to know if you would do this. I know I would. I would send away Breece Hall. Thank you so much for your service.
By the way, this is a Superflex non-tight end premium, just so we can clarify across the board as we're going. All right, so with pick 103, I've said it many times. Some people have agreed with me. This is pretty split down the middle. I've said this many times. There's 2 elite wide receiver prospects in this class. In our comment section, people are either agreeing with me or they're agreeing with you that, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers are in different tiers. I think Malik Nabers, the love he would receive if Marvin wasn't in this class, it would be unending. I'm a huge fan of his game. He goes in the first round with the 7th pick to the Bucks. So Malik Nabers is the pick here at the 103 before any of these quarterbacks. We've got Henke saying, you know what? I'm going to take Malik off the board right here, now. He's going to bet on this wide receiver class, and he ends up with the Tampa Bay Bucks in this mock draft, which when you and I were looking at this mock, we were thinking, okay, that probably means that Mike Evans is moving on. He's probably no longer a Buck. He doesn't have a contract after this year. So Malik, who knows what the quarterback situation is, but he would step into being likely the number 1 weapon on that team. We know Chris Godwin is there, but I just don't think he's the same level of prospect, of talent, if you will, that Malik Nabers is. I think Malik, wherever he goes, demands opportunities straight away. So, that would be an interesting landing spot. Is it Baker Mayfield? Hard to say. I mean,
that is the biggest question mark, is it Baker Mayfield, which surprisingly we have seen him finally produce. Well, not finally produce. I mean, he consistently produces a top wide receiver each week in and week out with Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's on Mike Evans because how elite he is. But if we are talking about Malik Neighbors as an elite prospect like Mike Evans is and how he could potentially be, surely he can easily put up those type of numbers, get those type of opportunities here with no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah, I like Malik Neighbors.
if we're seeing Baker Mayfield support, Mike Evans being a top 8 wide receiver in fantasy, there's no reason why Malik couldn't put up big numbers in his rookie year, if that were to be the route that they would ultimately take. So, so yeah, makes a lot of sense. D Macy's on the clock, so let's see what he's going to cook up here with the 104. A lot of very good options still available to him.
I'm interested to see where he's going to go here.
I'll just say, by the way, a lot of people ask, like, where do Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors kind of differentiate themselves, I guess, as prospects? In my personal opinion, I believe that the big area they're different in is their yards after the catch. I'm not saying that Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't very, very good at it. I just think Malik establishes himself in a different light as a yak threat at the next level. So I think that's where they separate themselves. And if you think about the modern NFL, that's really what these NFL teams are trying to do. Get these really, really special athletes in space. So that's where I would say they separate themselves a little bit. But at the 104, we do see a quarterback come off the board. He was the first overall pick in the mock draft that we're using. That is Drake May. So Drake May ends up here at the 104. He's a Chicago Bear. He links up with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and I wonder if we have any explanation on do they trade away Justin Fields? They don't have any explanation on that, but
they don't have any explanation.
You assume Justin's traded away. Maybe there's another offensive piece, an offensive lineman, or the defense improves to keep the offense on the field. But it'll be super interesting because I think Justin Fields every week is kind of playing for his job at this point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've been seeing him playing fairly well. Last week they beat the Detroit Lions, comes out really strong. And look, Drake May can come and easily and one of the biggest things I've been saying, the narratives we've been hearing with Drake May, he didn't have any weapons out there in North Carolina. At least this past year, he's been utilizing a lot of his legs to extend the play and trying to get that ball down the field, keeping his eyes down the field. But now he has Cole Kmet, who I believe is one of the top fantasy tight ends here outside of your key players. DJ Moore, a top 8 wide receiver in the NFL currently, and I think Drake May can easily establish both of those guys, and maybe they even get somebody later in the drafts. Anything can happen, but I love this landing spot for Drake May. I don't think he'll be first overall, by the way. Personally, I think is always going to be Caleb, but anything can happen. Like we were hearing the switch back and forth, I guess in the middle of the drafts for Drake May and Caleb Williams, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, but it kind of lent towards Bryce Young. But yeah, I like Drake May here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think in December, I don't think we can say anything is a concrete guarantee. Anything can happen. We so often, this time last year we were talking about Anthony Richardson and we were saying how much we like his athleticism, and he was being mocked in like the second and third round. So eventually, things kind of change. It's a process, and we're just at the beginning of it. So, all right, 2 wide receivers, 2 quarterbacks off the board. I am now on the clock, and y'all know I cannot pass up my guy. So with the 105, this quarterback gets to link up with the best wide receiver prospect since Jamar Chase, a Julio Jones-esque prospect. And that gets to be his teammate from day one. Jaden Daniels is joining my fantasy team here, and the New England Patriots linking up with Marvin Harrison Jr. They get to do rookie camp together. Maybe they get to learn under one of the great minds of Bill Belichick. Who knows what they bring in as an offensive coordinator, but I'm a big fan of Jaden Daniels. The rushing upside is appealing to me. And he's an even better passer than a lot of people give him credit for. He had the #1 deep ball grade according to PFF, throws over 20 yards. So yes, he's an electric rusher, but he's also a very good passer. Not only deep balls, but had one of the best completion percentages as well. Over 71% passes completed in the SEC, not running a dink and dump offense like we saw over in Oregon. No disrespect to those guys, but running a legit offense. We'll take Jaden Daniels here at the 1-5. You talk about fantasy quarterbacks, guys who could finish as the quarterback 1 on any given moment. You know, Jaden Daniels kind of fits that profile. So I'm going to take him right here at the 105. And we'll see. Shadow just needs to draft a kicker for us, but he's already made his pick. So go ahead and draft a kicker for us, my guy. But at the 106, your New York Football Giants.
Talk it up. Tommy Cutlets
decide to give
massive weapon.
Decide to give Tommy Cutlets, Daniel Jones, whoever it's going to end up being, a serious alpha #1
Justin
wide receiver,
Fields,
and Rome Odunze. So Rome Odunze comes off the board at the 106 here. He links up with the New York Giants. This team desperately needs someone like Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze would fit this team like a glove, a true #1 alpha who has the route running chops of a Chris Olave, but the hands and the contested catchability of a Cortland Sutton. You put that guy in New York, and it's hard to see him failing in fantasy football. So he comes off the board there. How would you feel about getting Rome Odunze as a Giants fan?
To be honest with you, I think this might complete our team. Respect, like
3 weeks ago, you guys were battling for the #1 pick.
I mean, when of course, like I'm talking about like in the weapons area. Okay. If we keep Saquon, we get Rome Odunze. We see how Wan'Dale Robinson is kind of emerging here. I know Jalen Hyatt. We both were a little bit shaky on him. I still am shaky, but I like what he's been showing. Right? I know Darren Waller, can he stay healthy? I don't think we're a big tight end team anyway. I think we got him as a bluff, essentially. But I think Rome Odunze comes in. We have all the weapons. We just need the quarterback. We just need the quarterback, and I think that's exactly what Rome can do.
Tommy Tortellini.
Tommy Tortellini, Tommy Cutlets, Tommy. I don't know, man. I mean, what a lifestyle my man is living right now.
That's hilarious. So yeah, we see Rome come off the board. I think it's a great fit for him. And it's just my personal opinion, but I'm not saying I don't believe in Tommy long term, but if you have Daniel Jones in Superflex Dynasty leagues, you're kind of like getting some life here because the Giants just signed him to that big deal. If Tommy can win enough games to put them out of the quarterback conversation, there's a chance Daniel Jones ends up being the starter for this team next year.
I would say
we cannot hate on him too much because that was the worst offensive line in football while he was healthy. Who knows? Who knows what happens? Maybe Tommy takes a job. Doesn't matter. Yeah. They get a very good weapon in Rome Odunze.
100%. I mean, just to close that out, by the way, and then we can move forward. I think he not only has to somehow take us to the playoffs, but then come back next year and then still be winning games. Because if he's still winning games when he does come back, then it's like, why the hell are you taking Tommy Cutlets out?
Sure.
I understand you played DJ. But anyways, that's a whole nother conversation here.
Yeah. But no one was sacked more in the first couple weeks than Daniel Jones. I mean, we didn't rough, man.
He wasn't sacked more. Right? No one was sacked more than Daniel Jones, and we had the most offensive line rotations.
Yeah, y'all were
injuries.
Struggling.
We were on struggle street. Anyways,
yeah.
Whole different conversation.
Here at the 107, the Washington Commanders draft Brock Bowers, and he's going to be the pick here for Sammy Stacks.
Here we go.
We talk about prospect fatigue. Brock Bowers, I think, is one of those names where people are like, all right, yeah, all these big names are gone. I'll take Brock. No, like, you're getting a extremely exciting player at the next level. The best tight end in college football history ever. In the 150 plus years of college football, this is the best tight end that college football has ever seen from a production perspective, from a skill perspective.
Top 5.
He goes top 5 to the Commanders. So Eric Bieniemy decides, all right, we're going to try and get our Travis Kelce replacement. And this is great for Sam Howell. This is great for Brock Bowers. and to get top 5 capital. So yeah, I mean, in a tight end premium, you can make a case that he could go earlier than this.
100%. Hypothetical, which I know we're already doing hypotheticals, but what if another quarterback was on the board with Brock Bowers? You still going that quarter? No matter what would you want outside of the organization? Would you still rather have that quarterback?
So what exactly are you asking? I'm trying to figure out.
If hypothetically Jaden Daniels was there and Brock Bowers is there,
As a Commanders fan.
yeah, as a
Okay.
Commanders fan, what would you want your organization to do?
Between Jaden Daniels and Brock Bowers,
I mean,
I
I think I
would-
know your answer, but
I would rather us get Olu Fashanu and just secure up our offensive line. But if it
so
was
you would
between
rather
those two names, yeah. I mean, my number one option would be secure the
Olufashanu.
offensive line, because if we put any quarterback behind that offensive line right now, they're going to struggle a little bit. I mean, I think Sam Howell has played well. I'm not sure he's the future, but I know for sure if we put a rookie behind that offensive line, it's not going to look that good either.
Okay.
So that would be my number one option, but I believe we'll get a new GM, new head coach, new regime. I'll just trust whatever they do. Got to start the new situation off with some trust. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Brock Bowers. He's a phenomenal player. At the 108, we're going to see one of Badaki and I's favorite players in this draft come off the board, Brian Thomas Jr. In this mock draft that we're using for landing spots, he ends up going in the first round to the Cardinals. Remember, the Cardinals passed on Marvin Harrison Jr. They got Breece Hall, multiple picks to move back. They get Brian Thomas Jr. He adds now to Kyler Murray. Maybe they bring Hollywood Brown back. Breece Hall. That is an exciting offense to be a part of overnight. So we'll take we'll take that in Arizona. I'm not a Cardinals fan, but
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, but you think about what they need. They are struggling at the offensive line, and they get Joel Alt here with the 4th pick. They get a top wide receiver who we both believe in Brian Thomas. They could have gone Mars Harrison Jr., but they get the 2-for-1. You get a top wide receiver, and you get a top tackle here, or offensive tackle for your team, who is also struggling at the offensive line position. So I think it's a 200 IQ move here for the Arizona Cardinals to go out and get a top weapon. I would say flanking as well, Hollywood Brown, because I do believe they should bring him back. So
yeah, I think that's probably going to happen. I'm super interested to see what happens with Hollywood, because there hasn't really been that chemistry that we wanted to see to begin Kyler's 2023 season. But that doesn't mean that it can't pick back up. Okay, so here at the 109, we have another quarterback coming off the board. But just before we talk about that quarterback, can you guys do us a massive favor and absolutely smash that like button? It's just a very simple way for you to help this channel grow, to help this community grow. So we appreciate y'all. Go ahead and hit that like button for us. But coming off the board is a quarterback that, if I'm not mistaken, goes in the first round.
Yeah, JJ.
So JJ McCarthy comes off the board, and he ends up going in the first round to the Minnesota Vikings, which is a super interesting landing spot for a couple reasons. The first reason is, will Kirk Cousins be back? I don't think if they draft someone late first round, that automatically means that Kirk Cousins is gone. I think there's a scenario here where Kirk could sign another 1-year deal. There is a narrative out there amongst people that I trust that JJ needs a little bit more time. A lot of people expect him to actually go back to Michigan, but in this reality, he comes to the Minnesota Vikings at the end of the first round. Maybe Kirk is back on a 1-year deal. Maybe JJ can learn behind him. Maybe that's the best thing for JJ's career anyway, but JJ's a very exciting prospect. The thought of him at some point, if day 1 or year 2, taking over an offense that includes Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. I mean, that is a very, very exciting thing to think about. And JJ is a great rusher as well, has all the intangibles, just needs to be coached up. And Kevin O'Connell, I mean, that would be definitely someone I would love to have my quarterback coached up by.
Yeah, 100%. I would say, if anything, this is a good sign that they want to invest in him, right? Because he can. Hypothetically, maybe it's not even him week 1 next year in 2024. It's Nick Mullins or Josh Dobbs to see what that looks like.
It's
Kirk
definitely not
Cousins
going to be Josh Dobbs at this rate.
Yeah. See what that looks like. Kirk Cousins comes back. Maybe he runs out of his contract. I think his contract runs out next year potentially. And then JJ can start in 2025, where he's just had a year to sit behind Kurt, had a year to learn this offense. That could be the best route for JJ here.
Yeah.
But that is clearly the long play here with him going in the first round.
Yes, so we have arrived at the 110. There's a player that you and I really, really like. And he lands in a spot that, we talked about. I think the Steelers might be the worst spot for an offensive weapon this year. I think the second worst landing spot is probably where this player ends up. We love the player. Really hope he doesn't actually end up here. But this is where Troy Franklin is going to come off the board. Now, Troy did go in the first round. The issue is he went to the Atlanta Falcons. And that is not a very fun landing spot to think about. I mean, Drake London is your number one. Kyle Pitts is going to demand targets. Bijan Robinson is one of the best pass-catching running backs in the NFL. So, in an offense led by Arthur Smith that doesn't already see a lot of passing volume, it's just tough to really think about that situation. Probably going to have Desmond Ridder throwing you the ball again. Love the player. Really not a big fan of that landing spot, though.
Yeah, 100%. Not a fan of the landing spot. One of the things we said in previous videos. Well, I've also brought the narrative. You hope, with Drake May going to the Chicago Bears, maybe the Atlanta Falcons is one of the teams that Justin Fields is able to go to. Right, is able to somehow land on, going back to, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia, where he was originally from. That can be something special there, especially with all those weapons here. But I like Troy Franklin. A lot of mouths to feed. A lot of mouths to feed.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll wait, see what that looks like. Let's hope that is not a landing spot for any of these weapons.
We don't wish that on anyone.
Unless there is a quarterback change there. I think my whole outlook will change if any other quarterback does go there. Maybe it's a Jaden Daniels, maybe it's Justin Fields. I mean, hell, it can even be Jimmy G.
That would be interesting.
I would be excited about it, personally. At least more excited than where Desmond Ridder is currently at.
Okay, so at the 111, we see another wide receiver come off the board, and let's just say this because it's every stream we have to clarify this. Guys, this is a very, very good class. Every year, people are promising you in content. They're telling you this is going to be an incredible year for rookie drafts. This is gold. This next year is gold. Well, 2024, in our opinion, is going to deliver on that promise. Maybe not for certain positions, but overall, the talent is incredible. So you're going to have a lot of players that you love just available in the second round. It's going to be a very fun draft to have first and second round picks. So if you love this name and you're like, why did he fall this far? It's because there's just so many good options. But here is where Keon Coleman comes off the board. Now, this is super, super interesting for Keon. I think he actually fits this team kind of perfectly. You got DJ Moore and Keon Coleman. I feel like that's a very good combination of wide receiver options. I might not be the biggest fan of Keon, but I can see how if you're trying to build a basketball team, these two guys work really well together in your wide receiver room. Maybe you bring back Darnell Mooney and he's your fourth option behind Cole Kmet, or Tyler Scott steps up as that speed's slot option. But I really like these guys complementing each other, and they also get to work with Drake May. Now, in year one, Drake May, we don't know if he's going to be good in year one or not. I mean, nowadays people expect quarterbacks to be CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert, or they're just not good. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone on Twitter and people say Bryce Young is just bad. He's just bad at football, as if the context has no part to play in his situation. But Drake May steps into Chicago. Offensive line is getting better. Now you add Keon Coleman to DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. I'm not sure what target share looks like in year one for Keon, but it's not a bad situation to step in with a young rookie wide receiver quarterback who is going to be trying to build some chemistry in rookie camps.
Yeah, 100%. All depends on what that looks like for Keon Coleman. If I'm not mistaken, I did say this in one of our videos here. He maybe it was for somebody else, but I could put this narrative on him as well. He's not going to be somebody that's going to get a lot of targets. You think of someone like a Devon who doesn't get a lot of opportunity, but when he does, he makes the most out of it. Is that Keon Coleman? Is Keon Coleman going to get those 50-50 balls and, you know, be an 80-yard pass, and maybe that one of those finds the end zone? I don't know. You know, trying to shine a little light on Keon, because you guys know how much I don't like Keon Coleman. He does go in the first round here to Chicago Bears. Maybe that does change a lot of things. But yeah, look, I can understand what that, you know, the narratives and what he can potentially be doing there for the Chicago Bears. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
we'll
he
wait and see.
complements the offense really well. I might not be the biggest fan of the player himself, but or his traits, but man, size, speed, you know, you're not going to be relied upon as the number one threat to begin your career, at least. So it's not a bad situation for him. We've got Sam at the 112. If Sam is with us, go ahead and make a pick, my man. But recapping the first round, I mean, there's really not a pick that I don't like. I love Troy Franklin, the player. It's just that landing spot is tough. But yeah, there's not a pick I really don't like so far. And Brian Thomas is just as deserving being there as any of those other players, as high as he was just drafted. So it's good to see him get some love. All right, so my RB1 comes off the board at the 112. You and I have kind of been in agreement lately on this topic. We don't currently believe that a running back is deserving of going in the first round of Superflex drafts with how deep this class is at quarterback, wide receiver. Now look, all it takes is a couple guys to come back to college for that to change. This is my RB1. He does come off the board here at the 112. Trey Benson. In this mock draft, he ends up being a Philadelphia Eagle in the second round. And I gotta say, I really, really love the landing spot. We don't know that the tush push is going to be eliminated next year. There is some noise around that happening. If that were to happen, Trey Benson could be entering this team at the exact right time. So that could be really, really exciting for Trey Benson. But, you know, similar to what Miles Sanders gave this team last year, I think Trey Benson could rush for over 1,000 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. So, yeah, that would be a very exciting landing spot for him there.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, we've seen the opportunities DeAndre Swift has had. I would say he brings a whole nother dynamic and strength to this offense. So yeah, I do really like Trey Benson going to the Philadelphia Eagles. That guy to your right already has made his pick here at the 201, and we've seen, like Zach said, some really good players already go in the first round. And not only that, you can this is why we are telling you not to sell your seconds. If anything, go out and maybe potentially go out and get some early seconds, right? Because a player like this caliber could be landing on your lap here at the 201. And that guy to your right takes Emeka Mbuka going to the Carolina Panthers. Zach said it earlier as we were going through the landing spots. The savior, the lone savior for this Carolina's Panthers team, going with Bryce Young here. Emeka Mbuka, I said this before, if Marvin Harrison was not on this team, I would say one of the best route runners in this class. And this is another narrative I've also been talking about. This is what we can see. He falls into the second round. He was the first pick in the second round going into in this scenario here, in this mock draft that we have. And that's what I was saying. I think he potentially fall. I doubt he does. But I won't be surprised if there is a narrative of someone like Emeka Mbuka who has been struggling with injuries this past year, not really getting all that opportunity and tape out, you know, and laying it on the field. He could potentially fall into the early second. And this is where I mean, he'll probably be the first 3 to 5 picks in the early second, in my personal opinion. And he goes here to the Carolina Panthers.
So yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the one quarterback video, but this is if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of them, it's been tough. If something like this were to happen for you, I mean, my hope is all the way back up to the ceiling, because while there's a lot of issues for that offense, for that team as a whole, the biggest issue, in my opinion, if you look at advanced analytics, is that there is not many receivers getting open right now for Bryce Young. Hey, you just drafted a big physical athlete in Jonathan Mingo. He can't get open. We kind of knew that he wasn't the best route runner coming out. It was exciting. He got early second round draft capital. Thought of him being with Bryce Young. He's not really able to get open right now. You've got DJ Chark, who's off multiple injuries. You know, his third or fourth team, not really being able to get open. You've got the tight end that you just signed to a 3-year deal isn't playing football at this moment. The running back that you signed is not even your starting running back anymore. You spent big money on him when nobody's doing it. He's not even your starting running back anymore. The left tackle that you thought was the future of your franchise is underperforming. No one's able to get open. And Bryce Young, who's been accurate, but has not had much separation from his wide receivers, has had no one to throw the ball to outside of Adam Thielen. Now you get a juked up version of Adam Thielen, a young, elite route runner that can create separation on any given play. This is the perfect landing spot for Emeka Egbuka. This would be very exciting for any Panthers fans. This would be great if you have Bryce Young in Dynasty. Like, you should be excited if this is the pick. For
1,000%.
me, the worst case scenario for the Panthers is that, one, they don't address any of these weapons, but two, they get one of these guys in the draft who aren't good separators yet and just expect it to work. You know, Mingo was fun because of the size, speed, athlete profile, but he wasn't a good separator, wasn't a good route runner. Carolina needs to get a route runner like the likes of Emeka Egbuka. So I love that landing spot. Makes a ton of sense for this team. And, I mean, I don't see how he's not the number one weapon on this team from day one out of camp.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he is somebody that I can see, in my opinion, couldn't have been worthy of going at the 108 here.
Yeah, I would have considered
109
him
right there, where JJ McCarthy went.
I think I'd take JJ because you get a first round quarterback in that offense. I would have taken JJ.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think because Keon went 8th overall, it's hard to not take him. But yeah, definitely in conversations for like the 110 territory.
Yeah, I completely agree. But that would be very interesting. They can also get out of T. Higgins, somebody big as well in these free agent. If T does walk, get Emeka and T. That's a whole new revamp.
I don't think Ayuk becomes a free agent, but Ayuk would be the perfect fit. I would blow the bank for Ayuk if I was that team.
100%. All right, I'm on the clock here at the 2:02. I do have Marvin Harrison Jr. Looking at a couple wide receivers, I can go for a running back here. And
what are you thinking?
You know, I'm gonna put some light on his name, and I think I'm happy to take him here. I'm gonna take Xavier Legette.
Yeah, makes sense.
He goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round, and this means, in my personal opinion, that he is potentially, or the Jacksonville Jaguars are moving on from Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley maybe wasn't the ideal fit for them, or maybe they don't want to pay him the long-term money.
Yeah.
You know, and Xavier does bring big body physicality with some good speed as well. There, I'm not saying he is the same route runner as Calvin Ridley or anywhere near the same prospect, but I think he can bring somewhat of the same outcomes that maybe the Jags were potentially hoping to get from Calvin Ridley this past year that we really didn't see in a fantasy perspective, or maybe as a wide receiver as a whole, right, in that. But great yards after catch ability, a big body wide receiver that they need as well. So I'll take Xavier here going to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first.
Yeah, something we have to consider. I mean, you know, I've had this stance for most of the year, just watching the All-22. That DAZN over here, Game Pass, allows us to have. Coaches film is what they call it. Ridley's getting open. I mean, he is still getting open at a very high rate. It's just not, you're right, like there's not that chemistry between him and Trevor Lawrence. There's not that mind meld. And we have to take into account, if this team signs Ridley to a long-term deal, they have to forfeit a second-round pick. like if there is an extension for Ridley, the pick is higher for the Atlanta Falcons. So that is something to consider. And in this scenario, I bet they would have moved on from Calvin. But you get Xavier Legette joining that offense. That would be really fun. And hopefully he can develop as a route runner on that team. He wouldn't have to be the number one straight away either, which is exciting to see. What's up, Goat Rings? Welcome in, my man. Let's see what Henke is doing here at the 2-3. He's got a pick available to him. But yeah, it's this is an interesting landing spot for Legette because some people love him, some people don't like him. There's a lot of polarizing names in this year's class of people who are like very strongly opinionated.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
and some of these guys are gonna fall.
Yeah.
One of our favorite guys is not going to get the draft capital that we like or the landing spot that we like, which is going to change everything, which happens every single year, no matter the position. So just be aware of that. And I just hope it's not any of our favorite. I guess I just don't hope. I hope it's not Brian Thomas. I think everyone else.
I don't see him getting out of the first round. Like I think he's a riser like Zay Flowers was last year. Different player, obviously. But
yeah.
All right, at the 203, one of. Is he the fastest? He's probably the fastest player in this class. I think that's fair to say. I think he's probably the fastest player in this class. Comes off the board out of Texas. This is where Xavier Worthy comes off the board. Now, I, unlike you, am not obsessed with this landing spot. I don't really like this landing spot. He ends up with the Miami Dolphins in the second round. First off, it's not first round draft capital. I'm not so sure he gets in the first round anyway. But secondly, Tyreek's going to be there for multiple years. Jalen Waddle has his 5th-year contract that they'll probably pick up option. I don't see a reason for them not to pick that up while they're competing with Tyreek Hill. And then you have Devon Achane, who's growing into a role through the air. Now Xavier Worthy. Are you the 3rd, 4th best option on most downs? I mean, that is tough. You could succeed just basically through efficiency. You get 3 to 4 targets a game, and man, because of all the options and because of the speed, you're finding the end zone often. So it's an exciting landing spot, but very concerning in the sense of, can you ever become the number 1 or even the number 2?
Yeah, and that was something that we said in that wide receiver, that one quarterback video. By the way, guys, definitely go check that out for that one quarterback lovers. That was kind of the narrative that I was talking about. Maybe, yes, I do believe they should pick up Waddle's 5th-year option, but if they don't,
there's no reason for them not to. Dude.
Yeah, there's no reason. I completely understand. There's no reason for them not to. But if they don't, I do agree. Like with those things that you said, efficiency is the key. We talk about Devon doesn't need 25 plus touches like your star running backs. He just needs to get 10 to 15 or 10 to 12. Even less than that, we've seen him be successful. And I think that is the same thing with Xavier Worthy. He could potentially get, once again, those bomb passes, yards after the catch ability, be a slot or an outside wide receiver. And we've seen, Waddle struggle with some injuries. We've seen Tyreek Hill now, even though he's essentially played every single game. He can easily step up and be somebody if somebody does miss time here. And not only that, he could be a gadget guy. He could be somebody that goes in the backfield. Not saying he's a running back, not saying he does have the experience, but I think they can get creative with him.
Throw back to when the Dolphins went Wildcat and just run the Wildcat. But yeah, look, he comes off the board here. Let's see what D Macy's going to do. I'm not obsessed with the landing spot. I do love the player. I mean, he's a very exciting player to watch. I just would rather him go somewhere. No one was, let's be honest, like now people are excited about it, but not many people were like thrilled that Tank Dell went to Houston. I wanted him, that's what I'm saying. I want him to go to a spot where it's like you have an opportunity to establish yourself. There's no one of the best wide receivers ever in front of you, So yeah, at the 204, a fantastic running back comes off the board. We love this guy. Travion Henderson is the next pick. Yeah. He ended up going to the Green Bay Packers in the second round. It was a top 50 pick, so early second round selection. Travion Henderson comes off the board. That was probably going to be my next pick, if I'm honest with you. So I like the pick from Daniel Macy. You think about all this success that an Aaron Jones has had in Green Bay. Well, the running back cliff is inevitable. Aaron Jones can't stay healthy. It might be time for them to kind of wrap that chapter up sooner rather than later. And Travion Henderson can give you some real similar, traits that Aaron Jones was giving this team for all those years. So a team that is on the rise offensively, has a quarterback that I think that they like, and just not a weapon that they can rely on out of the backfield just yet. Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon he's a fine, dirty yards type of player, but you need a weapon out of the backfield like Travion Henderson, a guy who can do it all. Now, my only concern for him in his rookie year is he's not the best pass protector. I know he's listed around like 210, 215, but he doesn't really play up to it all the time. Specifically as a pass protector, I think he needs to improve. And we have seen that is very important for coaches. If you can't pass protect, you might not make the field. Sure. So I'm not saying he won't improve. That is something you can be coached up in. But great landing spot for him here with the Green Bay Packers. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I completely agree. Love this landing spot. My RB1 in this class, I would say, if I'm going based off landing spot, I think Trey Benson does have the better one. I see the higher upside there. Sure. But anything can happen, of course. But you're at the 205 here. What are you thinking?
I am at the 205, and I'll just walk people through what my mind is kind of cycling through at the moment. There's no first-round players left, so let's start there. There's no players drafted in the first round anymore. There is a couple quarterbacks that I really like that went in the second round. One that has I think a really bad landing spot. There's a wide receiver that I absolutely love, and that's probably where I'm going to lean.
Okay.
But there's also a couple running backs that have, exciting landing spots that you could consider. So there's a lot of options there. For me, though, I believe the next pick is going to be one of my guys. There's 3 wide receivers that I absolutely love that will be lower in people's rankings than myself this year. Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen McMillan, who went in the 4th round, unfortunately, and the guy who I'm going to shine some light on today, which is Ladd McConkey. He's going to come off the board here at the 205. I love me some Ladd McConkey. He goes, I believe, with the 41st pick. So that's an early second round selection. Yeah, 41st pick. He goes actually ahead of Travion Henderson in this draft. He goes ahead of Xavier Worthy, ahead of Trey Benson. This is kind of ideally what I'm looking for with Ladd McConkey. I'm looking for a team to see how good of a separator he is. He reminds me a little bit of Deontay Johnson, always giving his quarterback an option with his separation. This is what I want. I want a team in the NFL draft, early second round, to say, you know what? That guy can consistently create space every single play. Let's get him on our team. So he joins the Tennessee Titans. He links up with Will Levis, DeAndre Hopkins. I think it's a 2-year deal. He's not the best separator at this point, but still a very, very good wide receiver. Treylon Burks, it's not really worked out. Who knows what happens with his development, but you get a guy who, unlike Treylon, might not be the better athlete, but is a very good route runner from day one. So you're giving Will Levis kind of like a super upgraded version of Kyle Phillips, a guy who's going to get open for you on most plays. And Kyle, Will needs to really work on like those simple short to intermediate passes. I think Ladd is the perfect fit there. So
he does not like that, which is so weird because if I'm not mistaken, not this year, but the year before, Will Levis, all he did was screen short passes to a player that's on my Giants and Wan'Dale Robinson, and he is barely doing that here now with the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, it's probably a different playbook here, but yeah, Ladd going into the middle of the field here, that can learn and grow as well with DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best route runners in the we've seen in a long time as well. That's currently playing in his prime. Ladd can learn from there.
I wouldn't say he's in his prime.
Right, maybe he's not in his, but like
definitely a good mentor.
In his prime.
Good
in
mentor.
His prime, he was one of the best route runners, one of the best hands in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, good to see Ladd, the space creator, off the board. I'm glad I was able to show him some love. Okay, so at the 206, we get another exciting wide receiver. People are going to say, how is this guy still on the board? Guys, that's what we're trying to tell you. The class is absolutely stacked. And you're going to get a talent like Adonai Mitchell in the mid-second round. A guy who, think about it, in most classes would have been a late first-round pick, where the Jahan Dotsons of the world were going, the George Pickens of the world were going in your Superflex rookie drafts in those years. You're getting a worthy of a late first-round pick in the middle of the second round. He goes to the Kansas City Chiefs in the late second round. This is, in my opinion, the perfect fit for him and for the Chiefs, because right now they have someone who is very good after the catch. Rashee Rice is a electric yak receiver. He doesn't have the most reliable hands. Meanwhile, Adonai Mitchell is not very good after the catch. He's not a very explosive yak receiver, but he's a very good route runner, extremely reliable hands, very low drop percentage, and you get to add that guy to your team. I think he complements Rashee Rice really, really well. So I love the pick there. We're not going to boost him up boards because he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, but we're not also going to push him down because he's a Kansas City Chief either. You know, I think a lot of people did that last year, Badaki. A lot of people were like, nah, I'm not taking Rashee Rice. Chiefs wide receivers don't work out. You know, it's just like, that's just the reality every year, and it will never change. So Rashee Rice working out really well right now. And, you know, there will be a change of guard here soon with Kelsey, so they're going to have to add more weapons.
Yeah, and that is something that's, I think it's going to be a pillar. When Kelsey leaves, I think, you know, even Andy Reid is going to understand, okay, like, I understand we have Kelsey now, but, like, he's going to have to pivot and find his new favorite guy. Obviously, it's Tyreek Hill. It was Tyreek Hill, was Travis Kelsey, and I think he was trying to find that while Travis Kelsey is there, but I think he needs to understand that when he's gone. And we might find that out soon, potentially, with Taylor making Kelsey retire. Shout out to Taylor Swift. She's forcing him. She's forcing the man. He doesn't want to.
Against his will.
Against his will. Look at him now. Now he's playing shit on purpose.
He's doing it on purpose.
And even though he made an incredible catch, even though Kadarius Toney was offsides.
Wow.
He wants to retire.
The rumor mill just continues. By the way, I've seen a couple people in the chat asking me how I felt about the offsides call, and I put this in our close friends group chat. It was offsides. That's just the reality. It's weird that it wasn't called earlier in the game, you know, because it happened 4 other times. It was offsides. It was the right call. And I think Patrick Mahomes, I'm a Chiefs fan. I will sit here and tell you, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid were sore losers that day. They were sore losers that day. However, that is uncharacteristic of what we've seen from them throughout their careers. And I said it in our friend group chat. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to apologize. I think he's going to realize he was in the wrong, and he's going to move on. I think people are making way too big of a deal out of it. It's not that big of a deal. It was in the moment. He was fired up. He did the wrong thing. Think about it. If you guys have ever played competitive sports, have you always been a good loser? I think all of us could say we probably haven't always been the best losers at times. And he wasn't. He wasn't a good loser that day. I think he would sit back and say that now. But that's how I feel about the situation. Right call, wrong attitude from the team. But here at the 207, we see Bo Nix come off the board.
Brother Bo.
And I like really love this.
Yes, me too.
I was really considering taking him at my pick at the 205. I really love this. He goes early second round to the Las Vegas Raiders. And you think about it. Jimmy G, they just signed him to a contract. You're not the guy. You lost the job to Aiden O'Connell, the guy who couldn't even score a single point versus the Minnesota Vikings defense. Okay? Aiden O'Connell's not keeping that job either. Bo Nix is the perfect point guard, game manager in today's NFL. I mean, I love Brock Purdy, and I think he's a very high IQ player. He knows exactly how to run the offense. It's a perfect fit. His timing is great, and he makes some really great off-platform throws as well. Bo Nix, I see a lot of the same things. A very good game manager who, with good weapons around him, can be a successful fantasy asset. He's got wheels. He's probably a better rushing threat than the likes of a Brock Bowers. Now, obviously, you don't have Kyle Shanahan. You don't have Deebo Samuel, etc. You don't have Christian McCaffrey. But you've still got some very good weapons all around you. And I really like this fit, man. I think this makes a ton of sense. I think he could be the day one starter for this team. He could beat Aiden O'Connell out in camp. So I absolutely
100%.
love Bo Nix. And by the way, last thing I'll say is game manager. I think it was Dan Orlovsky tweeted this out recently. Everyone has turned the term game manager into a negative, when in reality, that is, you cannot not be a game manager and be a good quarterback in the NFL. You cannot manage games poorly and make poor decisions and be a good quarterback in today's NFL. So it's become this negative term, but actually it's a very critical part of playing the quarterback position in the NFL. And Bo Nix does it really well. He is an absolute menace before the snap, by the way. He can read a defense like a kid's book. I mean, he's really, really good at it.
He can read a defense like a kid's book. Put it in put that one in a book.
Love it.
But yeah, look, Bo Nix, and I've said this in the one quarterback, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record. You're gonna be hearing me say this every single day. Leading up to the NFL draft, he will be competing for an NFL starting job if he does go to a landing spot like the Las Vegas Raiders. What's also really exciting about this team is a new head coaching opportunity. One of the biggest names out there is Ben Johnson, who everyone is loving there for the Philadelphia Eagles. That could potentially go. I know there was, I think, an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator for the Lions. A lot of people are talking about Dan Quinn from the Cowboys. I think all three of those names, even though I didn't name the Lions guy, I think all three of those guys can really set this organization up well. Who has Devontae Adams, who has Jacoby Myers on a long-term contract. You think of Josh Jacobs, if they do keep him, there's opportunity there for Bo Nix to be successful.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's going to be exciting.
Like, it would not surprise me if Bo. Look, he has to be behind a good offensive line, right?
Ben Johnson is from the Lions, by the way. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, Tanner, you're right.
But it would not surprise me if he's like a super efficient quarterback day one in the NFL. It would not surprise me at all. We get another quarterback off the board at the 208. I will say Johnson. I do like this player, but this is like, outside of Troy Franklin to the Falcons, this is one of my least favorite landing spots in this mock draft that we're using today. Michael Penix Jr. comes off the board at the 208. He probably goes much higher if it's anywhere else in the second round, but he ended up going to the Cleveland Browns in the second round. And, you could spin a narrative here like Deshaun Watson can't stay healthy. What if the Browns had Michael Penix Jr. today? Like, exactly. he would be dueling up right now. He probably would. Behind a good offensive line, there's not much mobility for Michael Penix, but you can kind of sling the ball like what we're seeing for Joe Flacco. The issue is, if Deshaun Watson stays healthy, that's your starting quarterback. No one has ever in the history of the NFL had more guaranteed money. They can't get out of it. We always talk about, this year you could void the contract. Oh, you could get out here. You could get out. You're not getting out of that contract at any moment. So that's the hard part with him. It's like, ooh, you gotta have an injury for him to be relevant.
Yeah, 100%. You have to have an injury to be relevant. And once again, one of these, the way the NFL is going to be looking at these quarterbacks, these guys could be top tier backup quarterbacks, whether you like it or not. That could be Michael Penix. That could even be Bo Nix. That could be whatever quarterback is going to be coming out of this class. And they're going to be getting starting jobs because we've seen, or at some point, because we've seen a lot of these quarterbacks get injured.
My gosh, dude.
I don't know how many quarterbacks.
I think 15 of 32 starting teams lost their quarterback at some point this year.
That's crazy. And I think alone in this class, we have about, 8 to 9 quarterbacks coming into this class.
Yeah.
That means every single one of these guys would have started.
Mm-hmm.
This year alone. So that is another narrative there. These teams are going to be focusing on some of these backup quarterbacks that could be long-term answers to compete when their number one guy does go down.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, we're going to get to the next pick, but just an update on our like goal, which is 100 likes today. We are just 20 likes away, so if you could do us a massive favor and go ahead and smash that like button. Collectively, we could all kind of get there right now if y'all do us a favor. And also, we are trying to get to 10K by the end of the year. We might fall short slightly, but we are currently under 650 subscribers away from 10K. So if you're watching this now or later, do us a favor, hit that sub button. We're going to be producing rookie content for you as much as you can handle this offseason. So whether you might even think we're idiots, but you'll at least like the content. At the 209, a wide receiver comes off the board. I'm trying to see where he actually went in this draft. He goes to the
round.
Bengals in the 3rd.
Oh, sorry.
So
Yeah,
he ends up being a 3rd round pick. A lot of people like this name. He links up, well, he was playing with Drake May, but this is where we're going to see Tez Walker come off the board. He ended up going to Cincinnati in this mock draft. So he will link up with Joey B. Maybe T. Higgins moves on, and you get an opportunity to kind of carve a rollout for yourself here. That would be the narrative I think that the person who picked him is going to be spinning. And maybe that does happen. Devontae Walker, let's see what kind of draft capital he gets. An exciting player. I say this a lot about these later round picks who are size speed athletes. It's just the wrong class. It's the wrong class. I mean, this last year, Devontae Walker would have so much more hype. A.D. Mitchell would be a guaranteed first round pick. It's just the wrong class because there are so many size speed guys. You can get a similar play to Devontae probably in the 5th round this year of the NFL draft. I know that sounds crazy, but I like the landing spot here. Gets good draft capital, ends up with Joey B. Why not? Why not take him here? So
yeah. I'm okay with this pick. I don't mind it here at the 209. At the 210, one of your favorite guys, I would say one of your top 3 my guys, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the my guy of this draft so far that you kind of been talking about. Jalen McMillan here going at the 210, and he does get drafted in the 4th round to the Las Vegas Raiders here. So he does link up with Bo Nix. He is, on the other side with Devontae Adams. You have Jacoby Myers. Is he the number 3 option, number 4 option? I don't know how you feel about it.
Look,
Mike. Yeah, I love the landing spot.
I love Jalen McMillan. I wasn't able to draft him in this mock draft because he didn't get the respect by Pro Football Network. He was a 4th round pick. I don't see a scenario in which he drops all the way to the 4th round. Again, this mock was made before the Pac-12 championship game. And through all the wide receiver content we've produced on the 2024 class so far, you guys know I've been saying this guy will rise in mock drafts over the coming months. Then he went out and balled at the Pac-12 championship game. It was one of the first games this year he was healthy outside of week 1 of the college football season. And now he gets to play throughout the college football playoffs. We'll see how far they go. But I think as more and more people get a hold of his film when he is healthy, I think he only will rise. Unfortunately, we're living in today's reality with this mock draft and this exercise where he is a 4th round pick. He lands to the Raiders, who's just signed Jacoby to a long-term deal. They have one of the best wide receivers ever in Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer, who could emerge in year 2. It's not necessarily ideal for him, but I absolutely see a scenario in which he could take over from Jacoby Myers at some point and be the number 2. Again, not a spot I want one of my favorite players to go to. I would rather them go to the Houston Texans last year, wherever that is. I mean, the Carolina Panthers. I would much rather him be drafted to the Panthers and have a chance to develop chemistry with Bryce Young. So absolutely love the player. I think at worst, you're getting a Christian Kirk type of weapon. At best, he has the ceiling because of his route running prowess to be a Keenan Allen type archetype. Not saying that's a guarantee, but love the player. Hate the landing spot. But like I mentioned, I think he'll get more and more respect as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. So he comes off the board. And
at the 210.
At the 211, we see Carson Beck come off the board. I was curious exactly when he was going to get drafted. He was drafted before Michael Penix, before Bo Nix, and he went early 2nd round. He was the 37th overall pick to your New York Football Giants. Carson Beck, a little bit similar to J.J. McCarthy. It's hard to know exactly what he is capable of because Georgia, great defense. You don't have to throw the ball a lot. And they like to kind of rotate around all these different weapons that they have, including in the run game. So hard to know exactly what you're going to get. Now, I think Carson, if I'm not mistaken, he's a senior already. I don't know his eligibility, guys, because the whole COVID, eligibility is weird. You got players who are eligible for 6 years, but this is his 4th year in college football. So He technically could come back, I believe, because of that COVID year. We'll see. We'll see if he comes back or not. I'm not sure. But in this world, he goes to your Giants with this 37th overall pick. And if they make that pick early second round, I think they're going to give him every chance to win the job.
Yeah, early second round pick for a quarterback here. It would be interesting because of the way, like, if Tommy, continues to play the way he does, and yeah, I'm just not sure. I honestly can't wrap my head around this pick and why we would make it. I think we need to invest in more offensive linemen here. We have 2 first round picks, by the way, or two second round picks.
Yeah.
So that would be very interesting if we do go Carson Beck in the early second here. But
yes.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting.
With the last pick in the second round, we get the 3rd Washington Husky wide receiver off the board. And when I think about this landing spot, I do think he is the 3rd best wide receiver on Washington, Jalen Polk. He gets drafted in the 2nd round to the New Orleans Saints. And when I think about this landing spot, I think it actually fits him like a glove. Jalen Polk, in my opinion, does not have the upside to be a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. He doesn't have the upside to be the guy that you're relying on week in, week out, but he is a very good complementary piece. I compared him a little bit to Romeo Doubs and what he could offer the NFL, a little bit to Zay Jones. You think about what those 2 players are offering their respective teams. That's a receiver at times that can be valuable for fantasy football. So he would complement Chris Olave really well. Michael Thomas, he can't stay healthy. He's getting older every year. Rashid Shaheed. Jalen Polk is kind of the perfect, again, if you're building a basketball lineup, you get Olave, you get Polk, you got Shaheed, you got a little bit of everything all over the field. So I don't mind that pick there. Now, Badaki, we're going to quick fire through the 3rd round. So we won't spend as much time on this 3rd round. We'll try and make it quick. I know a lot of people want us to go in the 3rd round, so let's do that for everyone. Go ahead and as fast as you guys want to go. When you're making your picks, just draft the kicker and put the name in the chat, and we will go through this and talk about these names. So at the 301, a running back comes off the board, and
another Raider.
Yeah, Bucky Irving comes off the board here at the 301. He goes to the Raiders in the 3rd round, right?
Yeah, Raiders in the 3rd round. Yeah, and with this narrative, you think Josh Jacobs is no longer on the team. Or maybe he is on the team, and maybe they franchise tag him again.
Yeah,
but
I think Bucky
Irvin
could complement him well, though.
100%. That's what I was going to say. If that does happen, he could complement him, a decent pass catching back that you put in space. So I do like him a lot.
It reminds me a little bit of Tajay. I don't think he has the same explosiveness that Tajay Spears has, but he's a little bigger than Tajay. Tajay's been a really fun player to watch this year, and has been a very good complement. I think you give a team like James White type usage, Tajay Spears, he's an explosive athlete, a little undersized, but that doesn't really matter too much in today's NFL. So I like the pick there. I'm surprised actually, Badaki, that there was only 1 running back in the 2nd round. But you're up on the clock here. What are you thinking?
And I'm going to continue to go on that route there and go back to the wide receivers. I'm going to go Malachi Corby. He goes in the 2nd round. One of my favorite, I guess, sleepers, my guy coming into this draft, going to the Baltimore Ravens here. Once again, at the end of the 3rd round, one of my favorite guys out of Western Kentucky. He can fit into this offense, especially with his yards after the catch ability. In my personal opinion, I don't think OBJ stays on this offense long term unless they win the Super Bowl.
I was gonna say, I mean, he's fitting in like a glove right now.
Unless he wins the Super Bowl and he can play a whole another year, sure. But I like Malachi Corby because Rashad Bateman's not it. Although if he does walk, they need to get another wide receiver, and Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews are the 2 guys there. And Malachi will just be a good complementary 3rd piece.
All right, so Malachi Corley comes off the board. Henke is now on the clock. Let's ask him what he's thinking here. And we'll see as we kind of quick fire. Again, guys, if you are watching and you're in the draft with us, go ahead and draft as many kickers as you want. Just keep back to back to back to back, and let's just start putting some names in there so we can kind of quick fire through this. We'll give Henke about 30 seconds here to make a pick. Otherwise, we'll make the pick for him.
I know he was in the chat
for the sake
here.
of time. But Malachi Corley comes off the board. I guess we'll take some time. I'll give my opinion on him. Look, I think it's tough to have a real strong opinion on the guy. You know, you and I have talked about this. You watch the guy's film. It feels like 9 times out of 10, it's a target behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean? So it's like with route running being so important to me, I got no idea how this guy is going to be at the next level as a route runner, because there's just not a lot of film to show press coverage, to show, you know, a complex route tree. It's like emulating the run game through the air. It's like what we had from Big Ben on the Steelers in his last year. Just get the ball out to the line of scrimmage and let guys operate after the catch. So yeah, it's a tough call, but obviously he's a fun athlete. I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah, 100% fun athlete.
So I think we're about to get a pick here, but let's
yeah, he's typing.
Let's
Potentially
see.
someone is typing. Let's see. I guess, you know, it's slim pickings here.
Braylon Allen has not been picked yet, and that is who he's picking. I actually think there's still a lot of really good players on the board, personally. I don't think it's slim pickings yet. I think even the third round, you're going to have some really, really fun players. Braylon Allen comes off the board here. He goes to the Tampa Bay Bucks. You and I talked about this in the one quarterback video. I don't really anticipate him being a do-it-all back at the next level, you know? I really struggle to see that being the case. But I think he complements Rachaad White well. This team just added Malik Neighbors, hypothetically. And, you know, he could be their short yardage back. So it's cool to get that kind of talent in the third round for sure. Okay, so at the 304, let's see what Macy is going to do. Yeah, while I might not be the biggest fan of Braylon Allen overall, I think in the third round, if you're getting him in the third round, that's pretty exciting to get a player of his caliber in the third round. It just speaks to how good this class is.
Yeah, it speaks to how good the class is. And, you know, I've been listening and hearing a lot, and maybe I'm going too deep because I want to know why people like Braylon Allen. And, like, I can see the narratives that people are talking about, you know, like, I think he does bring something different. In my opinion, if you look at everyone, he does bring something different to the class. But at the same time, that's not where the NFL's going, you know?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
But at the same time, he is the only one of not the only one of his kind in this class. I think there are 2 other big body running backs, or 3 other big body running backs, but he is the youngest that has, I think, the upside. And I think that's why everyone's excited about Braylon Allen, which is fair. Just not where the NFL is at right now.
Yeah,
So
I mean, look, I think
hard.
he can be a really good complementary piece. I mean, I think NFL teams are trying to build that complementary piece. The issue is a lot of people are going to say, well, look at what David Montgomery's doing in Detroit. David Montgomery is a much more dynamic, explosive player in space. And that's the issue, is when you put Braylon in space, which is what the NFL is all about right now, it's exciting to watch at college, I'll give you that, but at the next level, everyone's a better athlete, and it's just hard to see him making people miss, and outside of his strength, having a calling card to kind of extend a play. So we are going to get another running back off the board here. That is Will Shipley.
Yep.
Will Shipley, once a very, very highly sought after recruit out of high school. I believe he was a 5-star recruit, actually, is what I meant to say there. And in this mock draft, he goes in the 6th round. Or where did he go? I don't think he got drafted, did he?
Will Shipley did not get drafted, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so they didn't select him, but let's see what happens with him. But I'll give him props in the sense of, like, he is a good pass catcher, so that could translate at the next level. I'm up on the clock here. I think late 2nd, anywhere in the 3rd, just to start taking a shot on a running back. And this is where I'll take Audric Estime. Now, I'm not a really big fan of this player. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'll be straight up 100% transparent. This player is not in my top 5 of my running back rankings. It's not a player that I envision being a superstar at the next level. He, like Braylon Allen, but to a lesser extent, really only wins with physicality. I mean, he's a big, smacky in the mouth type of running back. Not much burst, not much twitchiness or elusiveness or, make your man miss ability. Doesn't really have any of that. Reminds me a little bit of like AJ Dillon, to be honest. And that's not that exciting to me. But I think about the offense that he's joining in this mock draft. He joins the Dallas Cowboys in the 3rd round. And the amount of goal line rushing touchdowns he could get could be great. I mean, Tony Pollard goes back to the Tony Pollard role. Maybe they give Audric the goal line role. So I'll take him there as he joins the Cowboys.
Don't mind it there. And at the 306, it looks like Shadow did make his pick right after you. Tight end out of Texas, Jatavion Sanders going to the Indianapolis Colts here in the 3rd round. Obviously, Michael Pittman is still there if he does stay. Josh Downs, Anthony Richardson, a 3rd weapon for Anthony Richardson on this team going to the Indianapolis Colts. What does that look like? That's hard to envision. Genuinely, I don't know what that looks like. Clearly, they don't believe in Mo Alley Cox if they do take someone like a Jatavion Sanders.
Well, also, they just drafted the kid out of Virginia, Jelani Woods, not too long ago. And I guess, to be fair, he hasn't really produced at all. So maybe they don't have any confidence in him. But yeah. So, yeah, he comes off the board. I mean, he's a really, really exciting player. I just don't love the landing spot. I
think we're going to see some of these tight ends like outside of Brock Bowers. I won't be surprised if Sanders goes in the 3rd or 4th round and still has. I'm just saying because like they're not going to. Maybe they do envision these tight ends. I'm not discrediting him as a talent.
Yeah.
I'm just saying these teams are probably going to prioritize other places because of how maybe not as strong this tight end class is. And so you know what? Maybe they go
specifically on Sanders.
Different areas.
I don't see Sanders getting out of the 2nd round personally. I think he's the perfect like athletic tight end for today's game. We got to remember this was the #1 athlete in his high school recruiting class. I mean, he is an absolute freak. He's just not as big as some of the other tight ends in this class. But in my personal opinion, I don't think he's getting out of the 2nd round.
And look, maybe I'm wrong. I guess my vision was more like, okay, some of these teams are seeing some of these other players, and maybe they would value him a little bit more over Jatavion Sanders.
Okay, I hear you.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's not necessarily based on him, just based off of, okay, this tight end class, not as heavy. Do you prioritize that tight end over this defensive lineman that you really want? Or you can go out and get a tight end in free agency or somebody that you feel like can produce what he is doing or he could potentially do. But anyways, a different conversation.
So with the next 2 picks, Blake Corum comes off the board. He went to the Bears in the 4th round, late 4th. That's a tough spot considering Rashawn Johnson's already there. Not very good draft capital, but obviously we do like the player. After him, we see Marshawn Lloyd come off the board, who
goes to the Cincinnati Bengals in the 5th round.
Yeah, I don't love that spot. And I'll be honest, I don't think Marshawn's getting drafted that late, personally. I mean, I don't think he gets out of the first 4 rounds. But, you know, that's just like a dynamic playmaker. Like, people want those Tajay Spears, those Achans, those type of players.
Yeah.
So Marshawn didn't get the respect in this mock, so that's why he fell. After Marshawn Lloyd, we have Oron Gazdan II. Did I make a graphic for this guy? We're going to find out real soon. I did not make a graphic for him.
He didn't get drafted in this draft. Oh, no, he did, actually. He goes in the 3rd round to the Packers.
Yeah. I didn't make a graphic for him. I'm sorry, but he is out of Syracuse. There are so many names. If anyone tells you, and let's be transparent right now, we have not scouted every single name that's going to declare to this draft yet. 100%. I think if anyone's telling you they have, I think they might be lying to you. There's just so many names. But unfortunately, I'll make a graphic for him for next time. But I don't have a graphic for him today. But at the 310, we see another running back come off the board, and we both really like this guy. That is Devin Neal. Yeah. So Devin Neal comes off the board, and in this mock draft, he goes to the Ravens. And that's a really fun landing spot because I personally don't see why he can't take the Gus Edwards role if they're trying to move on from him.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. At the 311, we see a tight end in Luke Lachey come off the board. I mean, it's always a good betting on an Ohio State wide receiver or an Iowa tight end. And that's what's happening
he goes
here
to the Bengals
with Luke Lachey. He goes to the Bengals at the 311, and he comes off the board. At the 312, we see the kid out of Louisville, the transfer, Jamari Thrash, who had a nice game last time out. He comes off the board here at the 312. Where did he go in this mock draft that we are using?
I don't see him off the board. Jamari Thrash. Could be wrong. I know. Well, this is what I was just about to say. This is a bad name for him because if he is really not good, they're just gonna be Jamari's trash, and you don't love to see it. Anyways.
You don't love to see it.
But
so what I thought we could do, Benaki, really quick, if you want to. I don't even know if I have enough names.
He goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, by the way.
Okay. Luke Lachey does?
No.
Jamari Thrash. Okay, my
Jamari Thrash goes to the Chiefs in the 3rd round.
Okay, Badaki, how would you feel? I don't even know if we have enough names, but how would you feel if you and I quick fired through the 4th for people? Because I don't think anyone's doing the 4th round yet, but YOLO, let's have some fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I know a lot of these names, but let's try it. Let's go for it.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the board here, and Luke Lachey is gone. This is going to be interesting. Oh, a name comes to mind to me for sure. The Vikings in the 4th round get one of my favorite sleeper running backs out of Tennessee. Tons of speed, tons of burst on this kid. Jalen Wright is going to be my pick out of Tennessee. Again, in the 4th round, he goes to the Vikings, a team who has definitely no answer at the position. So I'll take him there with the 401. You're on the clock. What are you thinking?
Okay, I'll continue at the running back position here with the Chiefs. Imani Bailey from TCU. I did say in our running back video, one of my low-key sleepers here in the 4th round. Yes, Isaiah Pacheco's there, but I mean, does Jet McKinnon come back? Does Clyde? I'm pretty sure. I think that he's on his last year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. They need to get some more depth. And Imani Bailey shows that tough physicality and that speed on the outside. So I actually don't mind Imani Bailey going to the Kansas City Chiefs in the 4th round.
All right, so Imani Bailey off the board. I'm actually going to pick one of my favorite sleepers. I guess, let's be honest, Badaki, every player we're going to pick now is probably one of our favorite deep sleepers. But if you guys don't know, I grew up in the Virginia area. Shout out to the DMV. And my dad brought me to the University of Virginia games. We had season passes. My dad worked for everything that he had, and he was really proud to do that for us, and that was an awesome experience for me as a kid. But growing up in the DMV, Virginia Cavaliers fan, Washington Redskins fan, and every time I would go watch the Virginia Cavaliers, we would just get absolutely dominated. I mean, it would be like 45-3 against Florida State, 38-0 Clemson. But I loved going to those games and watching the Cavaliers give it their all. I'm going to take a player who, by the way, set records. Malik Washington is coming off the board here at the 4-3. He goes to the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken, in this mock draft. Is that correct?
Yes, he does go to the 49ers.
He goes to the 49ers in the 4th round. And Malik put up some ridiculous type of production at Virginia this year. Let me pull this up for you guys. Malik Washington set the ACC single season reception record at 110. So most receptions ever by a wide receiver in the ACC. Set Virginia's record for receptions and receiving yards. And he's just a fun player. I mean, he's got a lot of running back traits. He reminds me a lot of Wan'Dale Robinson, Rondale Moore. So he's a sneaky player. I'll take him here.
Okay. I see Alan put this player in the chat. This is my next player here, Brendan Rice, and he goes to the Buffalo Bills in the 5th round here. And what's very interesting is that the Buffalo Bills don't take a 1st round wide receiver. They don't take a 2nd round wide receiver. They don't even take a 3rd or 4th round wide receiver. They wait until the 5th to get Jerry Rice's son going to the Buffalo Bills. And we've been hearing the turmoil or the narratives of Stephon Diggs. We've been hearing we have been seeing the boom and bust with Gabe Davis. Is he the new Gabe Davis? Maybe he is, or maybe he can be better. But Brendan Rice here in the 5th round, I'll take a shot on him.
All right, Brendan Rice goes off the board in the 5th round. I am up on the clock, and there's a couple ways I could go here. But the name that is standing out to me would be the kid out of Colorado State. He goes in the 4th round to the Colts. That is Torrey Horton. If you guys want to see what Torrey Horton is capable of, I mean, it's all over YouTube. Go watch the Colorado versus Colorado State game. He put on a freaking show, and that was still early in the college football season when everyone was excited about Colorado, and, you know, we're kind of on that hype train. But he, like, the only reason Torrey Horton is even being talked about right now in the NFL draft is because of that game. The dude put on a show, looked like an NFL wide receiver all day long, made what I think is probably the catch of the year on the sideline. Ridiculous hands. Fun player. He goes to the Colts in the 4th. I'm thinking, if it's unlikely, but if Michael Pittman moves on, which it won't happen, you know, there's a chance.
There's a chance here. All right, I'll stay at the wide receiver position in the 4th round, going to, first of all, a guy that I know you've said, you've spoken to Kyle. He said he's just a guy, not somebody that you love. Roman Wilson going to the New York Jets here in the 4th round. Not only do they trade up and trade away Breece Hall, they get their franchise quarterback of the future. You have Garrett Wilson there. Alan Lazard is just looking like another guy. Maybe Roman Wilson can step up and take some opportunity away from whoever the hell is going to be the wide receiver 2 in that offense. So I'll take a shot here with Roman Wilson going to the Jets in the 4th round.
Yeah, I don't dislike that at all. It makes some sense there. And now I think it's time to just kind of shout out some guys that you like. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take one of our favorite, I would say confidently, our favorite sleeper running back in this class. Now he goes in the 7th round. You and I definitely don't want to see him go in the 7th round. But we're going to take sweet baby Ray Davis off the board. A guy that you absolutely just want to see succeed. You want this guy to be a success because his story is so inspiring. He was, grew up in foster homes, in and out of those, no parents really to kind of guide him along the way. He was homeless for a time. He's transferred from like 3 different schools to get to where he was at Kentucky. Everything he's ever had in life was not given to him. He worked for it. And that's the type of running back, if someone takes that kind of work ethic, it could shine at the next level. So we're going to go Ray Davis here. What you thinking here with your next pick?
Sweet baby Ray's here. Next pick. What am I thinking? That was going to be my next pick here. Don't know too many other names. I mean, I can see Johnny Wilson here, so I'll take Johnny Wilson.
Okay.
Going in the 5th round to the Carolina Panthers. Not somebody that I'm in love with or somebody that I truly believe in, but I mean, if we still believe in someone like and someone like a Bryce Young here, 6'7", 237 pounds. Should have played basketball. This will be the biggest wide receiver for a great ball placement in Bryce Young. All he has to do is put it up there and he's going to catch it. So I'll take Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson off the board. Yeah, you and I aren't huge fans of his. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. But I'll take a shot on a quarterback here. There is so much uncertainty in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
That I don't see a reason why this guy wouldn't be given an opportunity to win the job if he's good enough. We're talking about Tulane's Michael Pratt. He comes off the board here at the 4-9. He went to the Steelers in the 4th round. Kenny Pickett has not played well, let's be honest, at any point of his career. And Mr. Trubisky is not the answer moving forward. So we're going to take Michael Pratt off the board there as a late round flyer. You're on the clock.
Okay, I thought you were going to go with the other quarterback here.
I was thinking about it.
And I'll take him here. I'm going to take Spencer Rattler here going in the 5th round. He does go to the Denver Broncos. if there's anyone that can get this man into shape, if there's anyone that can truly set some great foundational pieces of learning how to master his craft, it should be Sean Payton. He's gonna sit behind
Nathaniel
Russell
Hackett.
Wilson.
Nathaniel Hackett for me.
Nathaniel Hackett. It has to be Sean Payton, and Spencer Rattler. Look, the tangibles are there. I don't think we have seen, in my opinion, I don't think he's truly wants to master his craft. I think he likes the lights. Maybe I'm being really harsh on him. But another year older, if he does go in the NFL in the 5th round, maybe he's saying shit. Maybe he really gets his head screwed on here with with Sean Payton. I was blanking on the head coach's name.
We got there. All right, I am up on the clock here. I'm going to take Cody Schrader. He goes in the 7th round to the Los Angeles Chargers, I believe. You know, speaking of a running back who didn't get good draft capital and then turned out to be a star, Austin Eckler. You know, he's probably going to be moving on. And I think if anyone else was going to step up by now, it would have happened. Josh Kelly would have taken the role. Isaiah Spiller would have taken the role by now. So we're going to go Cody Schrader here. 7th round pick, but I love the kid. Over 1,400 yards, 6 yards per carry in the SEC, 14 rushing touchdowns. The dude put up some huge numbers, so I'll take him there. Exciting name, exciting landing spot with the Chargers.
Yeah, all right. And the last pick here, if I'm not mistaken, in the 4th round, I'll take one of the guys I love, I really like here out of Ole Miss, my alma mater. Trey Harris going to the Detroit Lions in the 5th round. I think one of the worst landing spots here with all these weapons personally. You know, you have Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams here, who is finally starting to see a little bit of some opportunity. But Trey Harris going to the Lions in the 5th round, kind of a dead spot. But just to put his name out there so you guys can know if he does go anywhere else, he can see some good opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. That's it for today, guys. We appreciate you. We're going to leave 5 minutes on the clock for a Q&A. So any questions you have in the next 5 minutes, we'll do our best to answer them. Go ahead, do us a favor, smash that like button. If you have yet to do so, just a simple way for you to help support this channel. But we will leave time for a Q&A here. So let us know if you have any questions. By the way, just a cool little announcement. We're about to get a huge refresh over on the Flock Fantasy page.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Benaki and I are super excited about. I wonder if it's actually launched yet or not.
I was about to say, I think it's their nighttime, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's not up yet. Now. Okay.
Not up yet, but we're going to have a really, really cool update over on the Flock Fantasy website for you guys within the next 24 hours. Let's go ahead and get rid of these rookies now that the stream is over. In the next 24 hours, there'll be a really, really cool update over on the Flock Fantasy website. We're very excited about it, and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. But we want to let you guys know that if you enjoy our commentary, if you enjoy our streams, you know, you might not agree with everything that we have to say, and that's completely fine. Everyone's got their own opinions, but we are releasing our 2024 rookie scouting and ranking package on Christmas. Okay. Yep. December 25th, that package is going to release. So it's a little present to everyone who's supporting us over on the Flock Fantasy website. It's a PDF that is chocked full of all these prospects, their strengths, their weaknesses, their, you know, attributes that we like, pro comps, projected draft capital. Obviously, when the combine happens, we'll update that. You also get access to our rookie rankings, which will consistently be updated. All that can be accessed to anybody who supports us over on the Flock Fantasy website with our promo code LAND. So again, use our promo code LAND. Sign up to the Flock Fantasy website. You're going to get 30% off your membership. Just make sure you're choosing the Mother Flocker tier. Only people on the Mother Flocker tier will be able to have access to that. But not only do you get access to that package, guys, you also get access to our regular rankings, one quarterback super flex for Dynasty. You get access to a Dynasty team review that we do on a live stream. You get access to our Dynasty trade show. We'll review your trades every single week on a video. You get access to the fantasy hotline, which is a direct DM to us for advice. You get access to the trade calculator, which is the most advanced trade calculator in the industry. As advanced or as detailed as you want to go with the calculator, you can go. So all that is available to you if you sign up. So again, keep that in mind and consider supporting us if you like to. I want a sandwich says, have you scouted any non-Power 5 guys? Probably not at this point. The only reason we would is if they start getting some hype. Unicorn says 12-team Superflex. Only relevant players on my roster are Chase, Jason, Laporta, and Gibbs. I have picks 1 to 5, 6, 7. So is that like 7 picks then? 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I'm confused. And 2 between 9 to 12. Would you take 2 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers? I would say this in general, guys. We would never force a position. We would always go best player available. And we will really only be able to answer that question well once the NFL draft has happened and we know draft capital for these prospects.
A lot depends on the context of your team as well. I know you said you have Chase, Jason, Laporta, and Gibbs, but a lot depends on your team, your format, how many starters you have,
Yeah, I'll just say it would always be best player available for us, especially if your roster is not very complete. You can trade for need, but it's the same reason that we told everyone to take Stroud over JSN last year. We might not have had Stroud as our quarterback 1, unfortunately, but we consistently told people you take the best value on the board. That's CJ Stroud. You take him over JSN. So keep that in mind. You always take best player available. Cranked Bot, what's up, my man? Traded late first and late second for Fields and a third in Dynasty Superflex League. What do you think about that, Badaki?
Oh man, late first, I'm okay with it. In the late second, I am, after the mock draft we just had, thinking about what these players that went off, I'm happy to take the chance. If you're talking about that's a Trey Benson or an Xavier Worthy or Troy Franklin for a Justin Fields caliber type player, and he does get traded away to another landing spot that I really like, I'm happy to take that chance. In a late second where we just saw Jalen Polk, Carson Bench, Jalen McMillan. I know Zach likes him, but I'm happy to take a shot on Justin Fields because I still believe in his upside. And we see that week in and week out with his fantasy finishes. Yeah. He may not be the elite quarterback that's going to probably win a Super Bowl ever, but he is somebody that's going to win you fantasy games week in and week out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure that it should cost this much right now with how much uncertainty there is. I think I would be willing to pay multiple seconds, but I'm not sure a first and a second. That's a tough call for me. Yeah. Big Mac, what's up, my man? He says, what are the top and worst 5 landing spots for running backs and wide receivers?
I guess
that's a good question.
That is a good question. I mean,
I would say there is a lot to be determined still with free agency, but for wide receivers, I've said this, Steelers are my least favorite spot for anyone. Bad quarterback play that you'll probably be attached to for a while and too many options. The Falcons, unless they change quarterback, is not a spot that I love. The Lions, just in the sense of you're not going to beat out Laporta or Amon-Ra. The Eagles, same reason. You're probably not going to beat those players out.
Yeah, I think any team that has an established wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 or really bad quarterback play currently, like the Steelers, the Falcons, you think of the Eagles, if the Bengals keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, obviously that's a bad landing spot. You can think of, a lot of other places. But for me right now, I know Chris Olave is doing well. I just don't love the Saints. I don't know if I want another wide receiver to go to the Saints. Because I don't love Derek Carr, and they're not going to move away from him. And they're 6-7, and they're going to be in the middle of the pack team. I don't love the Saints as a landing spot for any wide receiver. I could be wrong, but Olave is just another type of receiver on his own that he can produce the way he's producing. I would say the Patriots right now, if they don't draft a quarterback, but that is looking like to change.
Trey Trev says, if Bill Belichick gets traded, who do you think bites, and what could the Pats get? Yeah, this whole narrative that like someone's going to send a first-round pick for Bill Belichick, I don't see that happening. I think ultimately he's with the Patriots. No, it's just not going to happen. No one's going to send a first-round pick for Bill Belichick at this point.
I want Bill Belichick in my front office. I want Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, do you want to move to the next phase? Do you want to be a GM?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to want to pivot to being a coach on another team unless he is going to get more money, maybe doing a little bit less work throughout the season. He can, travel to college games, which I'm pretty sure he hasn't done in years.
Yeah.
I think that he wants to see some change.
Michael Pittman for an early 2025 first. I'm in Devi, but I don't know enough about that class and where it stands yet to give you good advice on that. What I would say is, man, early though, like if you're telling me that's a top 3 pick, I would not do that, but you're going to have to make that decision.
I wouldn't do
Nicholas,
it.
What's up, my man? He says, have a late 24 first, 12 team, half PPR, start 10, have CMC, ETN, Eckler, Najee, Hill, Cup. Who should I buy to win the chip?
You still have trades open?
A little bit of a broad question, but I assume you're...
you need another wide receiver. That's what I would say. You have Hill, Cup, but you're talking about a flex maybe with Thielen, Addison, and Myers. I'm looking at another flex. I'm looking at somebody, a heavy hitter at the wide receiver position that can easily help me. If you have that wide receiver window open, Devonta Smith, Deebo Samuel, Chris Olave.
Debo's a great one, late first for a Debo.
I'm looking at Garrett Wilson now that Zach Wilson's back. I like that one.
Probably couldn't afford to buy him, unfortunately, though.
Zay Flowers. I guess I'm looking at those names.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would.
Zay Flowers is a fine option because he's not an older player, so it's not like you're, going all in on a player who you won't be able to build around. So Zay's not a bad option. You could go Diggs because he's not really performing, but I'd be cautious. DJ Moore's ideal. I just don't think you can get it done. So yeah, those are some names. Ron says, if you had the 101 and the 103, would you guys go Caleb Williams and Malik Neighbors? Or I feel, why do we get this question every day? Or every time we have streamed so far, we've gotten the same question.
Yeah, and we said that this is a win-win. I don't think we're mad at whichever one. I mean, you get the way I see it is that you get the elite wide receiver on one side with Mara Harrison and Drake May, and then on the other side you get Caleb Williams, who's the elite quarterback. But at the same time, other people see the same thing with Neighbors as being elite. So I think it's a win.
Yeah, I would go Caleb and Neighbors, but it's very close. I don't think there's a wrong answer there personally, and I'm confused because I know it was a different person who asked the question, but why do we keep getting that question? Is it like I'm trying to understand. Maybe it's just two people in the same situation and they ask it on different days and they don't get to hear the answer. But thanks for coming, Ron. We appreciate you. When do we get some Devi content, Steven? That will be when I'd probably say January and February-ish. During the season, it's just impossible for me to keep up with the Dynasty redraft channel and try and make content on that channel of mine. But I'd probably say when things calm down. Brandon, what's up? Tight end Premium League. I have the 101 and 102. Take Harrison and Bowers or Harrison and Neighbors. This would be Harrison and Neighbors for me.
I guess it depends on how big the premium is. If the premium is 1.5, I'll be interested in Bowers. If the premium is just 0.5, I'm still taking Neighbors. I think if the premium is the highest it could possibly be.
That would be the same thing, though.
0.5.
Yeah.
Like 0.5 or 1.5.
0.5 is what people typically have.
But some people have 1.5 as a premium.
No, I think that's just like people say that as in it's 1.5 PPR per reception.
Oh, okay. Maybe I've been understanding that wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
But if your premium is a full point, Which I guess, yeah, you're right. It would be the same thing, but that they get a whole nother point as a reception though if it's a full point
Well,
in the premium.
people either have a half or a full point premium, or some people go
Uh,
0.75.
Right. So if it's points, that's what I'm saying. If it's like one of the highest premiums at a tight end premium, I would really highly consider Brock Bowers.
Okay.
But if you're telling me if it's just a half point premium, I would go Malik Neighbors. That's what I'm trying to say.
It'd be Neighbors for me regardless. Sparrow says 10-team Superflex full PPR. Burrow, Dotson, and Puka, or Mahomes, DJ Moore, and Rice. Burrow, Dotson, and Puka. Dotson, I'll be honest, love the player. Doesn't carry much weight in a trade for me.
Not anymore.
I'm going to go the Mahomes side here.
Yeah, with DJ Moore, and you just hope they don't draft Martin Harrison.
Yeah. Unicorn says, do you value Daniels or Dunze higher right now? It's way too early, but Daniels for me, it's a little bit of a projection, but I believe he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I think if Daniels gets the capital, it would be Daniels for me. But I mean, even if he goes in a scenario like this where he goes to the Patriots in the late first, I think that can still catapult him over someone like an Odunze potentially.
Yeah.
Just all depends on the landing spot.
Tristan says, I only have Burrow in my 12-team Superflex, have the 102, 106. Do I take the best available quarterback with the 102, or do I take Marvin Harrison Jr. and take the next best quarterback? It's probably not going to be here what people want to hear, but our answer would always be in these scenarios, guys, to take the best player available at every
Whatever
pick.
that looks like.
At
Whatever
every
that looks like
single
for
pick, you take the best player available. If you're approaching a rookie draft trying to fill needs, you're going to probably end up regretting it at some point. You can trade for needs, but in a rookie draft, you always go best player available.
Yeah.
That's true, Steven. No worries. And last one today, Russ says, have the 103, 104. Think the players in the range are worth staying put, or do I need to go to the 10? Does that say 3 or 2? I can't see.
Oh, 2.
I would stay put personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get an incredible player anyway. But that is it for today, guys. We appreciate you. Do us a favor. Go ahead and hit the like button as the stream ends. And again, support us on the Flock Fantasy website if you want to unlock that entire package, including our rookie rankings and our breakdown of the class. Other than that, we'll see you guys soon. All love.
Love.